Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Amy Lenius, a personal development and success coach, professional speaker, and the director of group coaching at Next Level University. For nearly a decade, Amy has helped people redefine success from the inside out, focusing on the foundation that truly sustained growth, self worth, self belief, health, relationships, habits, and identity. Amy believes that growth isn't about constantly pushing harder, it's about understanding yourself, making intentional choices, and creating success that feels fulfilling and sustainable. Amy, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
All right. So yes, can you take us back to your younger years, basically? What kind of, kid were you growing up and what shaped you? What were the experiences that shaped you when you were much younger to who you are now?
Oh my goodness, it's a very deep and broad question. I mean, how far back do we want to go? You're focused on like 20s, like you said, right? But I, I grew up in a lovely environment. Actually, I'm very, very grateful and privileged to be able to say that. I grew up in a loving home in a beautiful town out in British Columbia, BC. I live in Canada. We're currently in Ontario now. We moved across the country a few years ago, but I grew up out west. And I lived in a rural neighborhood with lots of friends that I could walk to their house or bike to their house. Mm, and it was really nice. I mean, I feel like the ups and downs I had, if there were any downs, it was more either social dynamics or with my health would be my two biggest ones. And the social dynamics were fine even up until late high school. And then you start to see people identify as certain groups, popular, athletic, band, and different things. But I always felt like I was social enough to be welcome in conversations in all of them. But my biggest struggles, I think, were with my health. And I think, I know. I know that they were with my health. Early on in my teens, got, well, I shouldn't say I got diagnosed, but I struggled a lot with my cyclical health and my hormone health when I was younger as I went through puberty and things. And I ended up over the years getting diagnosed with a condition called endometriosis, which is a big word, but it's basically a chronic inflammation and pain condition that women go through based on their hormones and their cyclical nature. And so struggling with that in high school and then into my early 20s was probably my biggest hurdle as far as mental, physical, emotional. Definitely.
All right. Wow. Okay, so yes, first of all, thank you, Amy, for sharing your story with us today. And I also want us to, touch on building an internal foundation, basically. So, you talk a lot about success from the inside out. So can you tell us what does that actually mean?
Mm. Yeah, building success from the inside out is something I don't think we talk about enough, especially to our
Mm,
youth. And especially when you're trying to discover yourself as an adult, as like, what it looks like to become a part of the professional world and as young adults. And we're constantly building our version of success from the outside in, what the world tells us we need to be, who we need to be, what we need to do. And that can come from, society. It can come from even within our own households, what our parents expect of us, what their beliefs are, those kinds of things. And so learning to decide what's going to serve you long term, especially when you're young and you're just trying to figure it out. I mean, I'm all for going and trying different things. I think that's really important. But if you can learn who you are, what your core values are, what your core beliefs are, and the life that you want to live, not only on a macro level, but the day to day. What do you want the day to day to look and feel like based on who you actually are, what your interests are? That's a whole different ballgame. It's actually a whole different life if you start from that perspective. And I don't say if you didn't start that way that you're hooped, you're not. Absolutely. I mean, this is only work I've been doing, like you said, for the last 6+ years, depending on how you look at it. There's more, but it's it's who you are, what you value outside of what others think and expect, and then learning to go from there.
Right. Who you are outside of what others think actually. So yes, so talking about self-worth and self-belief, first of all, how important is self-worth, or should I say self-belief, in building a meaningful life for yourself?
Hmm. Self-belief, so as subjective as success is, meaning your version is your version, there's no objective version of success, everyone's is different. Self-belief is a principle of success, regardless of what your success looks like. Self-belief is a simplistic term for self-efficacy. It's what you believe you are capable of doing, of achieving, of becoming, and it's how much you believe you can get external results. So, do you believe you can achieve a certain result, a certain goal? And that doesn't mean you know the answers. It doesn't mean you know how to, but it means that you have enough confidence to go learn something new or go ask somebody who's ahead of you and then implement the things that you need to do to get it done. And that, when we see people with high self-belief, we see someone who has the potential to reach their goals. And again, you are not stuck if you don't have high self-belief right now, or you've never worked on it, or you've never even consciously thought about it. That's okay. We're not born with a certain level of self-belief and stuck there. That is something you can build. You can build self-belief every day. You can build into your capabilities and your competencies every day. And we can do that by doing a simple formula called state, prove, and self-assign. And so if you say you're going to do something, you actually get it done. And then you build it into your identity. You have a moment of self-celebration, self-assigning that, hey, I did the thing I said I was going to do. The more you run that formula in the day-to-day, the more self-belief you're going to build. And so that's why I'm a big fan of the to-do list, because you write it down. So you state, you get it done because you said you were going to, it was on the list. And then as you check it off or cross it off, you have that moment of, nice, I did something I said I was going to do. And you keep running that formula, you're going to build more self-belief. And the people who have high self-belief do better with their goals and with their success.
Hmm, wow. Okay, so thank you, Amy. First of all, I would like to let you know that I'm learning a lot, actually. And then, yes, you said states do, and I think there's a framework you mentioned. I would like for you to, mention it again so I could, quickly take notes of it.
Absolutely. So 3 steps. The first one is state. So you say
Okay.
you're going to do the thing. Say it, write it
Mm,
down, tell somebody if you want accountability.
mm,
Prove that you can get it done. Prove that you can take the action that you said you were going to do. So get the thing done. And
mm,
then self-assign or self-celebrate, acknowledge, build it into your identity that you did the thing you said you were going to do and that you are getting
mm.
results. You're checking the box. And yeah, that how you build self-belief.
All right. Wow. Okay, so yes, thank you. You said state, prove, and self-assign.
Mhm.
Basically, for anyone listening out there, if you're trying to, build self-belief, these are the steps you can take in order to, build self-belief. Wow. So yes, thank you. And also talking about value, right, and self-belief, how do we stop measuring our value by productivity?
Mm, It depends on the kind of person you are or personality that you have. Some people actually need to tie their worth to productivity. There's a huge piece that they could tap into there. And people say, "Oh, don't tie your worth to your actions, to your results, to your..." Well, yes, like we're all intrinsically worthy as humans, but extrinsically, what value we bring to others in the world, that requires action. It requires skill. It requires knowledge. It requires emotional intelligence. And so, yes, there are people who tie being busy, I would say, to their self-worth, but being productive in the things that matter most to you, it's really good for self-worth. It's great for self-respect. And so I would talk to the person as an individual. And that's why it's so funny. Me and the guys of Next Level University, we joke all the time about how different it is to talk to an individual versus a group. And we debate all the time which one's easier, but Alan and I believe that it's easier to talk one on one because then we can get into the specificity of is that a positive thing for you as the individual to tie pieces of your self-worth to how productive you are being and the things that matter most to you versus not. So it's a very individualized question, but if it's detrimental to the things that you're trying to get done, then yeah, don't don't do that. But if it's actually working for you, if it's actually optimal for your goals and it is pushing you to do better, be better in the areas that matter most to you, then actually it's okay.
All right. Wow. Okay, so yes, Amy. And another thing I would love for us to touch on is the health, healing, and relationships. Right. So, you often talk about holistic self-improvement. So why does growth require more than, just mindset?
Mm. Because if you're just doing the mindset, you're not actually changing your life. You might change how you think, but if you don't change how you act, there's no real long-term change. And so some people get very caught up in the listening rather than the doing. They'll listen to the audiobooks, they'll go and they'll listen to the speakers and listen to the TED Talks and all of those things, but they don't implement what they learn into their life. And so it's like trying to walk forward with one foot. You know, you need 2 feet to walk in a straight line. And I know that's very generalized, and I know people can walk, but it's that if you're going to walk in a circle, you're taking just steps. You're going in a circle with one foot. Whereas if you just have one, you're going the other way. If you have one, you're going the other way. It's a straight path uphill, of course. Journeys are always uphill. It's never just
All right.
never
Wow.
just a nice little
Okay,
stroll.
so
We're going up a
it's
hill. We're going
about,
up some stairs.
learning. It's not just about, listening to, let's say, self-improvement podcasts or just listening to motivations, basically. It's about,
Yeah, it's about that implementation of what you learn. So messy action, failing forward, those kinds of things. And it's amazing to learn how to change your mindset, shift your beliefs, and start working, with your brain for your goals rather than having it work against you. However, if you're not doing the actions, you're
oh,
not doing the
right.
mental practices.
Hello.
Hi, did I lose you?
Amy, are you there?
Hi, did we lose each other? How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I could hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My connection isn't that great now.
Oh no, that's okay. I was over here just talking away.
Oh, it's fine. I just went off a little bit. Okay, so I don't know if you heard the question I asked when I said you often talk about holistic self-improvement. So
Mm.
why does growth require more than, just the mindset?
Oh yeah, I was going off on that one. Absolutely. So
Oh,
I
no.
could start again.
So sorry.
No, no worries. This is how things get done, is the messy middle. If we can't embrace the
Oh,
messiness, we're never going to be consistent at anything. So I'm all about pushing through the mess. I think that's really, really important, actually. So
wow.
it can't just be about mindset. It has to be about the action you take with the mindset that you learn. And so think of it like something that has a symbiotic relationship with something else. So the cows that have the cowbirds that come and eat the bugs off of them, one benefits the other, and they both just live in harmony in this beautiful way, and action and learning are that symbiotic relationship. They work so well together. If you're just doing one, it struggles. You struggle. Because if you're learning and learning and learning, that's amazing. It's amazing to listen to the audiobooks, the TED Talks, the YouTube videos, whatever it is that you like to listen to learn and grow, podcasts, great example. And but if you're not implementing what you learn, you're not actually changing your life. And even when it comes to shifting your beliefs, shifting your thoughts that aren't serving you and are going against your goals, that takes practice. It takes intention. And so if you're just learning all the time but not implementing, you're not actually going to see much change in your day-to-day life and definitely not to reach your goals.
Wow. All right. So it's about, listening and implementing, not just listening, because it's one thing to listen to motivation, and it's another thing to actually, live by what you're learning. Right.
Hmm.
So, yes. Okay. All right. So another thing is many people they really do not they are not able to recognize unhealthy patterns, right? So how can we actually recognize unhealthy patterns so that it could serve us better?
Again, unhealthy patterns is very subjective to the individual.
Mm,
So, learning to put filters in place that help you make decisions, that help you decide whether the person's places, things, ideas, thoughts, beliefs, all the things that you say, think, do, feel, believe are either for the goal or against the goal. This is why having goals is really, really valuable because the second you have a goal, your life can be sectioned off into is this for the goal or against this goal?
mm,
Group of friends, okay? Let's say you have a friend who loves to go out for fried food and you guys go every week. And then all of a sudden you decide, you know what, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to do a cleanse. So, she's a great friend, she's a fun friend, but now she's against the goal, actually, especially if she doesn't want to go out for lunch with you because she can't get the certain kind of food. And so you kind of have to take a step back or let go of the goal. There are
mm,
constantly things in your life that are in conflict with goals. And it's hard actually when goals are in conflict with each other. Then you have to discern which one's more important to you at the time. And so having filters of, okay, like, does this increase or decrease my self-respect? That's a great question because typically it's the harder choice that is the right answer. Okay, I'm tired. I've had a busy day. Maybe one of the animals or the kids were sick and I didn't get my workout in this morning. And now I'm tired and I don't want to do it tonight. Okay, I have this goal. Is it for or against the goal to skip the workout? Ah, shoot. Is it going to increase or decrease my self-respect to skip the workout? Oh, it's going to decrease my self-respect. It's going to feel good in a moment, but it actually is such a huge self-respect hit. It's such a huge self-belief hit. We learned in the beginning that to say you're going to do something, get it done, and self-assign. If you say you're going to do something and don't get it done, and you do that over and over and over again, you're taking self-belief, self-worth, self-respect hits on the regular. And so having those kind of
mm,
filters in place and just the simple one of is this for or against the goal? Is this thought I have regularly about myself, others in the world, good for the goal or against the goal? If it's against the goal, how can I shift? What do I need to do? What do I need to learn? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to implement to make it for the goal?
mm. Exactly. Wow. When you mentioned the goal, I just thought about it like this is why it's very important to actually know what you want, right?
Hmm.
Know what you want and understand yourself. Because how can you know how can you tell if something works for you or if it doesn't work for you when you actually do not have a goal, right? So it's important for you to have a goal so you can make aligned and informed decisions when, making a choice. Like mentioned, like I asked, right, how one can identify unhealthy patterns, right? So you need to actually have a goal so you could identify what works for you and what doesn't. So that is where, learning about yourself comes in, basically.
Hmm. Absolutely. That's why self-awareness and understanding your goals and the things you want in life is a superpower because it helps you make those decisions, helps you understand the answers to the things you're looking for. If not, you're kind of just out here winging it.
Exactly. Like you said, winging it. So yes, thank you, Amy. And also another thing I would like for us to, touch on before I ask my final question would be about women, identity, and alignment. So much of your work centers around women reconnecting with themselves, right? So why is that conversation so important, especially in like today's world?
It's such an important conversation, even with what we talked about in the beginning. What is your version of success versus what society tells you as women should be your version of success? That that's a conversation all in itself, but we're constantly put into scenarios that are actually built for men and don't honor that we are cyclical beings. And the more we can understand that we have a cyclical nature, that we are mentally, physically, and emotionally very different week to week to week, and support ourselves in that, the better our life's going to be, the more empowered you're going to feel. Again, empowered is a sense of, I have control over this. So many of us are running out here blind at the mercy of our hormones that we don't understand, are doing certain things every week and setting us up for success in some things and failure in others. And so, even if we just understand that and can give ourselves grace and work certain things into our schedule that do support us, it makes a huge, huge difference. And so, that's just, again, a part of that self awareness, that mental, physical, emotional self awareness. It's a superpower. And the more you can learn about yourself, and the more you can learn about others in the world and how you interact in that, the more successful you're going to be and the more empowered and also at peace you're going to feel within your life.
Mm. Wow. Okay. So yes, before I ask, my final question, I would like for you to, tell us about the next level university, right, and leadership. So can you tell us about what the program is all about and how did you become involved with the next level university, basically?
Oh, it was so kind of random. So Next Level University is this incredible company found by two wonderful men, Alan Lazarus, Kevin Palmieri. They wanted to bring personal development, self-improvement to the world because it had helped them through their struggles so much. And so they actually started as a podcast themselves. And it started as once a week and then a couple times a week. And now they've been at it for 9 years. Now it's a daily podcast. They have 7 days a week, a show that is incredible and it's dedicated to holistic self improvement. Now, we don't actually say holistic self improvement anymore because no one knows what the heck we're talking about. So we say personal development for the sake of your success, which is basically the same thing. But we're still the through line of holistic self improvement, which is that everything affects everything else and it is going to affect your success. And its success is not just about money, it's about your health. It's about your quality of life. It's about your relationships and yes, wealth as well. And when I heard these two guys on their show, I fell in love with everything they were saying. I myself, like I said in the beginning, grew up very sick, and to embrace a holistic aspect and approach to my sickness is what got me healthy. Understanding that it's not just about one piece of me, it's about my whole body, my internal environment and my external environment, and how they all interact together. So, when these guys were talking about holistic aspects for the sake of your growth and your success, I loved it. I loved it so much. So, I became a part of the community. I loved showing up to the book clubs that we do and the masterminds we do every month. And there's group coaching and there's also one-on-one coaching as well. And so I started my own podcast too, and I loved the idea of just showing up and talking, having a great time with good people. And I didn't want to do the technical aspect of it. So I hired them to do all the things that I not only didn't know how to do but didn't want to do. And so I
Hmm.
became a client as well. And I was getting coached by them in my own business at the time. And I just, like I said, I just kept getting deeper and deeper involved in what they were doing. And one day I sent a keynote. public speaking thing I got to do to Alan. He's a fellow public speaker as well, and I wanted some authentic feedback from him. I said, "Hey man, what do you think of this?" And he loved it. And he said, Kevin and I do a live event every year. And we would love for you to try and come down and MC for us. And I say come down because I'm in Canada, they're in the States. And I did. I didn't know what I was doing. I've never
Mm.
MC'd a personal development event before, but I was like, yeah, sure, I can figure that out. That's a high self-belief moment. That's an example of high self-belief right there. It's like, I don't know how to do that, but I can figure it out. And so I did, and I got to see more of what they're about, who they are, and ever since then, I've just become more and more involved in their company. I've been with them for 4 years now. And so we do a lot of one-on-one coaching. We work with a lot of podcasters. We do have a group coaching program for podcasters, our podcast accelerator group, and just have a ton of stuff going on behind the scenes that's very community based, very support yourself for the sake of your success through line. And we're just, we're empowering people with fitness, finance, and family, we say. And it's been a really wonderful journey. And I'm planting my flag here. This is my home. This is my career for the rest of my life. I can feel it. And so that's how I came to find NLU.
All right. Wow. Okay. So first of all, I would like to say shout out to Alan Lazarus because he has also been a guest on my podcast. The moment you mentioned his name, I was like, wow, Alan. Right. So yeah,
Nice.
he's the CEO of Next Level University and
Hmm.
also is amongst the top 100 podcast hosts, right? He has
Yes.
over 2,400 episodes. I mean, yeah, he was just generally amazing. So shout out to him. And also thank you for, telling us more about the Next Level University, right? And for sharing your story with us, basically. It's been an amazing experience, and I believe my listeners are going to, listen and learn. And like you said, also implement it in their daily
Mhm.
life too. All right. So yes,
Oh,
thank you,
I'm so
Amy.
glad. Thank you so much for having me. I love that you've had Alan on as well. So like you said, you know how great he is and why I get so excited at the idea that I get to work with him. So yeah, thank you so much for having us both and for being interested in what we do and for this lovely conversation.
All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's also a pleasure to have you both, honestly. All right, so before you go, I just want you to talk to someone out there, specifically younger adults, right? Because many of my listeners, they are in their 20s, they are navigating life and building their future. So, what would you wish they would understand more about success and life generally?
I wish that more people talk to younger people early on about creating a life that they're actually going to love and what it takes to do that and how it's not just about, oh, it's going to happen. Just, be a good person, work really hard, and it'll happen. It needs intention. And if that intention can come from who you really are and who you want to become and the life that you truly want to have, that's an entirely different outcome than just you winging it. And so self-awareness is a superpower. The more you can learn about yourself and then others in the world and how you show up in that, the more successful you're going to be, the more fulfilled you're going to be. So learn about yourself, learn about others, learn about the world, and go be successful in a way that makes sense to you.
Hmm. All right. Well, learn about yourself, learn about others too. So, yes, thank you, Amy. Which brings me to the final segment of my podcast. I call it the rapid fire segment. You could either answer with a word or a phrase starting now. So, are you a
I'm
morning
ready.
person? All right. So, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, morning. I am useless at night. Morning for sure.
All right. So, what is one habit you never skip?
Oh, this is funny. It's a I would call it a meta habit. I habit track my habits. So I track my habits every day so that I'm tapped into the habits that I do every day. So tracking your habits, it's more of a meta habit, but it's so important.
Hmm, okay. All right. And what is a book that changed your life?
I have so many. I'm gonna go with the first book that changed my life. Actually, was the Harry Potter series. I have so many. I mean, I'm looking at a bookshelf right now that has like all the women's health books on there. Those changed my life. Personal development ones like Essentialism. Oh my gosh, that one's great for women, Essentialism. But I hated reading until my dad bought me the Harry Potter books, and at that point there was only three of them, and I had to wait every time for a new one. And I fell in love with reading based on those books.
Okay. All right. And finally, what is one word that describes you today?
Oh, fulfilled, very much
Hmm.
so.
Wow. All right. Okay. So yes, thank you, Amy. This has been such an amazing conversation, I would say. And also, I think one of the biggest takeaway from this conversation is that growth isn't about, becoming someone completely different, right? It's about coming home to who you really are and building a life that reflects your truth. And so it's basically about you living a life that you want for yourself. So yes, thank you, Amy. And before you go, where can listeners get to, learn more about you and also connect with you?
Oh, I'm a very simple being. Facebook and Instagram are my planting my flags there. That's it. I can't even with a bunch of the other ones. It's just at Amy Lenius. And if you ever want to reach out and talk goals, habits, self-belief, self-worth, I would love to talk with you.
All right, wow, okay. So I'm going to put your links in the show notes so it's easily accessible for listeners. And to my listeners, I would say thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as it did in me, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Once again, thank you, Amy. You have a wonderful day ahead of you.
Thank you.